Hey guys, it's Arcturus. Today I want to talk about this event which is running on Discord at the moment, which is the community design of the Unlimited Creativity community design event. I've had an idea that I will link down in the description about how we can improve one area of the game using a lot of features which already exist, and I think it would make it a bit more fun, add a bit more challenge, and I think it could be a positive addition to the game. So when we first had the Demonic Crusade added to the game and there were these challenge stages that were brought in, one of the things that people loved about it was the fact that there were all of these different traps. So in this stage there are explosive barrels that can injure units but also cause damage to surrounding units. In the next stage, there's these fire traps and these barriers that have to be broken through by the attacking demons before you can get to the end point. And I think myself and a lot of other people who saw these features in the Demonic Crusade was like, "Oh, this is brilliant! This would be really, really good to bring this into GvG Guild." They've been talking about revamping the map and adding some new features, and when the revamp came, we didn't really get what we were expecting. We went from a really static map to a twisty map, and that twisty map has had one or two teething issues associated with it. Obviously, we've had some heroes come into the game who are incredibly powerful, and that's having a negative impact on the overall gaming experience. Now, what could we do? So let me just jump over to the existing arena map, and we will have a look about what we might be able to implement. So here we are on the tower map, which has been used in season 4. The small tower map for season 4 is now going to be the large tower map for season 5. I'll spend more time talking about the changes to GvG in Wars Going On this weekend with Sebastian. But what we have is a long channel here, which has been causing problematic with certain units, such as Ingrid and Dahlia being ones who are causing the most problem in these sorts of areas. Now, my suggestion is that while we're used to having 5 heroes of defense, that you could have 4 heroes and 1 trap, or 3 heroes and 2 traps, basically by reducing the number of deployed heroes but keeping the overall impact the same. It's still the 5 heroes versus 5 demon types. And if you implement a trap to slow down your enemy's progress or to injure them on the way, that might give the defending team a bit more chance of the victory, and it will make the offensive team think about the challenges a bit more and have to strategize between the guilds and how to come around, how to defeat these defenses. So on a map like this, for example, you could have a barrier here to slow down your enemies, which would give some of your units more time for their rage to build up. So when they came through, they would be more susceptible to AoE attacks, or they might have more rage on them. Sorry, their rage will have built up, so they go straight into their ultimates and wipe out these enemies as they're coming in, and they wouldn't be less vulnerable to an early rage attack, an early rush attack, because you wouldn't be able to just charge through because they just hit a barrier, and a lot of these very fast units don't hit very hard. Or you could have a fire trap on this bottom row, and it covers 3 or 4 tiles, and it just does a little bit of damage, so they're a bit weaker by the time they reach your enemy unit. Now, part of this implementation would be that you would have to reduce the number of by reducing the number of heroes, you have to compensate for the fact that the defenses wouldn't scale properly. And we've already got the system in place to do that because we have the demon soldier affiliations. So here we've got our demon soldiers on the offense. We know if we click on a unit and go to affiliate, we can assign a hero to the affiliation, and that will give us a boost, a stat boost, so that we can attack the enemies with a bit more punch. For But the restriction, I think, that you would have to implement if you were starting to affiliate heroes to trap defenses would be that the heroes have to be locked. Once a hero is locked, is affiliated to a trap, they are locked for deployment to GvG. That way it's balanced and you're not affiliating your defenses with A5 heroes or maxed out heroes who are you're not going to make use of, and you are making sure that your roster is still got varied, you've still got a challenge, you can't just easily blitz it. In addition to affiliations, you could have the traps so that they upgrade. So for example, the trap shards should drop from gear raids like gear raid 2, gear raid 3, but, and I'm very important about this, they must not reduce the possibility of getting the demon soldier shards. It's an independent it's another addition to the drop table, and it doesn't reduce the chances of getting your demon soldiers. So if you're getting a demon soldier, you've got an equal chance, whatever percentage it is, of getting an upgrade to your trap. And that would make it so that people can keep leveling up their offense and they can level up their defenses in a way that feels like it's fair, and they're not being penalized when they're trying to farm something and they're getting something which they're not looking for at the time. It gives us the opportunity to share it, get people doing different gear raids again, mixing it up, and making use of the challenges. So we've talked about what we would do. So this would be traps, so you could have more traps as in your lineup. So you can go from 5 heroes down to, if you really want to, 1 hero, and then you increase the number of traps. As you affiliate a hero, they become locked for deployment for GvG. Traps can be farmed and leveled up in the same way to demon soldiers, but they do not penalize the drops of demon soldiers. And they can be deployed into the map in the same way as a hero, but they're going to have to make it work in some way. So we've already got stages which have got high HP barriers in, and they can be used to run down the clock, make it harder for the enemy to get past them. They might decide that rather than going through a barrier, they decide to fly over it. If you're doing that, you might want to put more archers on. But then once that HP has gone down, once that barrier has gone down, then you could be more susceptible to different types of attack. So it's going to be, there's a standard sort of, it's basically a different type of defender, but you're not worrying about trying to keep it alive. It's just a high HP tank. The other suggestion which I would quite like to see implemented are these fire traps, which is some damage over time of the enemy as they're approaching the defenders. It can be between 2 and 4 tiles long, depending on how the map allows it, and you can apply that to an area, and it just weakens the enemy a bit, so the defenders have got a bit more chance of annihilating some of these high HP units which are coming in, and we've reduced some of the spider rushes that we see in GvG to date. Now, obviously, because these are affiliating with the heroes who are being deployed, it would scale fairly, so you wouldn't get low guilds completely unable to use their spiders, because they'd be up against guilds where the heroes are weaker, so the affiliations would be lower, and the affiliations of the traps would be lower, so the damage output from them would be lower. The only trap which currently exists, which I think would be the hardest to implement, are the barrels. Now, rather than being a blocking, taunting barrel, which they are currently, my suggestion is that they become a timed explosive, and on deployment, when you choose the affiliation, you then choose the fuse length. It's either 30 seconds after deployment, 60 seconds after deployment, or 90 seconds after deployment. That gives you an opportunity of running out through the map, and when the enemy is doing their attacks, they don't know on their first pass through how long that fuse is, and it gives you an opportunity to slow the second wave of enemies coming in with a large AoE explosion, which does lots of damage to their units and means that they're less likely to take you out. I think that would be quite a fun thing to have on defense. I think it'd be quite frustrating to attack against, but it means you've got to have a scouter in your guild, someone who sacrifices an attack on it to find out what's going on a particular map, and it will mix things up a bit, at least on the first attack of every tower. What else could you have? Perhaps you could implement an anti-air catapult, or an anti-air tower of some description. That could be like a flame turret, or a mobile archer turret that's put in one corner, but it can't hit units who are right up in front of it. It has to have a certain range gap before it can apply. So, for example, on this map, you would deploy the trap here, but it can only attack things who are out here somewhere. So it can't hit things which are right up under its face. And again, that's changing up the gameplay mechanic. You've got to think about where you're putting it. The enemy's got to think about how they manage that, getting through there. So you get through that range without your demons dying on the attack front. I'll put a link to the Discord point below. I've discussed this idea with a couple of people, and we all seem to think that this is doable. I think it would be it would add new encouragement to farm stages, which is always good because you have a chance of finding gear or finding these days shards and things. I think it would encourage people to get more excited about GvG. We'd start to see some more varied mechanics because people are implementing traps in ways that make us think about it a bit more. And I think it could be, it's using existing game mechanics, so it shouldn't be too difficult to implement. I think the hardest thing would be making the traps work and making them work fairly. But the people I've discussed it with seem to think it's a good idea, and it's certainly a workable solution. So that's really it for today. Do give my idea a like, and do continue to like and subscribe my channel. I'm still trying to grow back up from having set this up independently, and I will see you in the next video.